All right, let's dive into one of the most exciting and frankly hopeful ideas in all of neuroscience, neuroplasticity. We're going to unpack what it is and, more importantly, what it means for our mental health.
So let me start by asking you a question. Do you kind of think that after a certain age, your brain is, well, pretty much fixed? That its wiring is more or less permanent? Well, if you thought that, you're definitely not alone. It was a common belief for a long time. But the science is crystal clear. That idea is just wrong. Your brain is a dynamic, living network that is constantly, and I mean constantly, rewiring itself based on everything you see, think, and do. And that brings us right to the heart of today's explainer, this incredible power we call neuroplasticity. So what is it really? Simply put, neuroplasticity is the brain's amazing ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections all throughout your life. The plastic part means it can be molded and shaped. This is the bedrock of how we learn anything new, how we form memories, and even how we can recover from brain injuries. And here's what's so cool. This isn't just one single process. Change happens on all kinds of levels at the same time. We're talking about tiny, microscopic shifts at a single connection point, a synapse, all the way up to huge, large-scale reorganizations of entire brain circuits connecting different regions of the brain. Let's zoom in a bit. You've got synaptic plasticity, which is all about making existing connections stronger or weaker. Think of it like turning the volume up or down on the conversation between two neurons. But then you have structural plasticity, which is way more dramatic. This is when your brain physically remodels its own hardware, growing brand new connections or literally pruning away old ones it doesn't need anymore. Okay, but, and this is a really big but, this incredible ability to change isn't always a good thing. It has a dark side. You see, the brain can learn the wrong lessons. These plastic changes can become maladaptive. That means they start creating rigid, unhealthy patterns of thought and behavior. So instead of being flexible and adaptable, the brain gets stuck in these deep ruts. And those ruts, well, they can form the very foundation of many psychiatric disorders. Now, check out this quote, because it really gets to the heart of the matter. Mental illness usually isn't like a stroke, where you can point to one specific damaged part of the brain. No, it's often a problem of connectivity across a whole network. It's these subtle, small alterations that just build and build over time until the whole system starts to malfunction. To make this less abstract, let's get specific. Let's look at two major disorders, depression and addiction, and see how this whole maladaptive plasticity thing plays out into totally different ways. So with major depression, the evidence is overwhelming. The problem seems to be a loss of healthy plasticity. Studies of the brain show that in key areas for mood and thinking, like the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, there's literally less brain matter. We see lower expression of the very genes needed to build connections and just fewer synapses. The brain's ability to grow and change seems to be seriously impaired. This quote just nails it. The brain's wiring in these critical circuits has thinned out. It's atrophied. And that contributes directly to the symptoms we see. It's a pathology of having too little healthy change. Now, addiction, that's a whole different beast. Here, the problem isn't a lack of plasticity. It's that plasticity has been hijacked. Drugs of abuse basically take over the brain's natural reward circuits, and they trigger these incredibly powerful, long-lasting changes to the synapses. The brain uses its amazing ability to learn, but it learns one lesson way too well, that the drug is the most important thing in the world. And this is what's so powerful and so tragic about it. Addiction is, at its core, a disease of learning. The brain has rewired itself so effectively around the drug that even just seeing a certain place or hearing a sound can trigger intense cravings. Why? Because those pathways have been carved so deeply. Its plasticity gone completely rogue. So, if maladaptive plasticity is the problem, could it also be the solution? This is where the story gets really hopeful, because the answer is yes. The very same mechanism that creates the problem, the brain's ability to change, is our most powerful tool for recovery. Honestly, most modern treatments are really just applied neuroplasticity. Just look at this. Fast-acting antidepressants like ketamine, they work by causing a sudden burst of new synapse growth. Brain stimulation techniques like TMS, they help normalize the communication between different brain circuits. And even talk therapy, like exposure therapy for PTSD, is all about plasticity. It works by helping the brain weaken old fear-based connections and forge brand new pathways associated with safety.
You see the pattern here, right? Whether it's a drug, a magnetic pulse, or a guided conversation, the underlying goal for all these different treatments is exactly the same: to tap into the brain's own natural ability to change and guide it back toward health.
And this new understanding isn't just an interesting fact, it is sparking a revolution in how we approach mental health care. It's pushing the entire field toward a new frontier. We are literally watching a paradigm shift happen. We're moving away from just trying to manage symptoms and moving toward actively and intentionally remodeling the brain circuits that are causing the problem in the first place. The future is all about developing tools to actually measure these changes in patients and then customizing treatments to give them exactly the kind of plasticity they need. And I really don't think you can sum it up any better than this quote right here. Psychiatry is becoming the applied science of neuroplasticity. It's about helping the brain do what it does best: learn, adapt, and rewire itself back toward health.
So here's where we land. The brain's capacity to change is a total double-edged sword. It's the very thing that can lead to our deepest struggles, but it's also, without a doubt, our greatest hope for recovery. So the question for the future of mental health is no longer if we can change our brains. The question is, how can we become better, more precise architects of that change?